It's going to be very individual. So you know, if the parent, it's big news, and I think that really needs to be acknowledged. For some parents, this is huge news, and so there really needs to be that acknowledgement that for some parents, it's not going to be easy. That's going to take time to process. And as with those, with the diagnostic process, we know how long that takes. It's not something that happens overnight. And so although parents have been on that journey and they've gone through that, sometimes that final, yes, there's a diagnosis here, can actually be really, really shocking and really hard to hear. And so some of the support that we would put in place would be, it's listening, it's giving a parent the time to be able to say that and to feel okay about saying that yes, you know, the positivity that will come through, it's how they are going to be able to put things in place to support their child, but it's how they can also look after themselves and support themselves that's really, really important. So that they don't have to go, yes, I have to embrace this straight away. Actually, I'm really struggling with this.
What kind of things would you recommend, or you know from your experience, has helped support a parent who might be feeling overwhelmed by the situation?
So for some parents, it's going to be finding as much information as they can. They're going to want to, you know, they're just going to want to devour everything. For other parents, they're not going to want to do that. They want to shy away. They want to, you know, there can be an element of denial. And for other parents, there can also be getting support from other parents. So it's about looking at how they can get that support from other parents, what they can tap into, what's out there for parents, and what's going to work for them.
And I think that's where online can be really good as well, because there's so many online communities around supporting parents when they've had a diagnosis, when there's those additional needs. And I think it's being honest with yourself, you know, that actually this is a huge thing that has happened in my life, and actually this isn't necessarily what I wanted. This isn't what I expected. This isn't how I thought parenting would be, and coming to terms with all those kind of realities of what being the parent that you thought you'd be to being the parent that you are at that point, and coming to terms with the fact that your child isn't necessarily the child that you thought you would have. And I think that acceptance that that's okay. It's
what
okay
kind of
to feel like
emotions
that.
do you come across that typically parents who are feeling overwhelmed and like you just said there, Michelle, what type of emotions would that be?
I mean, again, it's so individual, but you could be very angry, you could get really frustrated with yourself, with your child, with the whole system around things. You could be really frightened. You could be scared about what this will mean for your child in the future, you know, and how, you know, I know we've certainly worked with parents where there's been real concerns about, you know, when they're an adult, how are they going to manage? How am I going to continue to support them? And it's kind of thinking about your child for the whole of their life and how you're going to be able to support them, and that is so overwhelming. I mean, it's
if you start to think about what that trajectory could look like, you know, the idea that you might have that they'll eventually find a partner and then maybe have their own family, and if you think actually the news I've just had, I'm not sure my child will then become the young adult and the adult that will be able to live independently from me. That's a whole different ball game, isn't it?
Absolutely, and we, you know, the positives, we know that they're there. We know that, you know, that will come through. But for some parents, you can feel very lost, and so you're lost in that quite negative cycle, and you know, it's a really, really tough place to be. That's not to say that doesn't shift and that doesn't change, but it's actually being able to give parents the time to be able to do that.
And the support, and obviously that's what we're doing at the Autism Plan, is having an online support so that parents can access support immediately, because also waiting times for support at the moment are, you know, crazy. People having to wait for courses and wait for, you know, places that they can go to meet other parents that might not always be the best environment for them to be in as well.
And we've heard feedback from parents who have said that everything's a fight. You know, every step of the way, you have to fight for that initial assessment. You have to fight for this. You have to fight for that. And it's exhaustion. They're very, very tired. These parents are exhausted. So it's how you know you can sort of build in that time for them, and that's
some self-care,
absolutely,
some well-being,
yeah,
to make sure you're in a good place before you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And giving yourself the right to have a bad day, giving yourself that time to be able to say, do you know what, today is not a good day, but that is okay.
Yeah, and tomorrow is a different day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.